Hello and welcome to Rebel Radio Now. I am Todd Cotta. We got a lot of great stuff going on here today. We hope that you can come along for the ride and enjoy yourself. I know what we're enjoying ourselves. And we got a lot of great things happening today, and we do hope that you can come along for the ride because we're going to have a very lively conversation with a gentleman that I had a very lively conversation with just a couple days ago down in Southern California. Also, in guest here is Nicholas Wildstar. Right here. Good to see you. Down at the end is Kalish Morrow, Hanford City Council. And, of course, we have Dougie Fresh back on the microphone right here at Rebel Radio Now. Don't forget, you can go to Rebel Radio Now, and you can subscribe to all of our channels, whether it's on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook. Just smash down that button, subscribe, and get notifications so you can find out when we get really cool people like this right here on our show. Also, we are on all the podcasting stations. We do hope that you enjoy that, all of our shows, and I've been getting lots of response from people. And, yep, you know what? We are very excited about what we have going on here. But without further ado, let's take a look at this webpage right here. It is Nicholas Wildstar, honest, loyal, and brave. Bring back liberty. That's this guy right here. How you doing, Nicholas?
Not bad, not bad. Happy to be here and speaking with you, gentlemen.
I tell you, you know, we talked about you a little bit the other night when we were on our little hotel room podcast. And
oh yeah, I saw.
There was more questions. There was more questions and answers about you more than anybody else on the stage. And so this is the time that we get a chance to just sit down, talk to you, and figure out what the keys are to you. And I guess the first question that I want to ask is, what party are you running in for governor?
The People's Party.
The People's Party.
That's it.
Okay,
yes.
Okay. So
I'm politically homeless right now.
Politically homeless.
Yes.
Okay, so we were under the impression that was going to be a Republican gubernatorial debate. Mm-hmm. And did you have to give some kind of requirement or something to get in there? Or they just said, okay, you're running, you're come on down. How did you get into that debate?
I'm a declared Republican candidate. So
declared.
Even though I'm a registered Republican candidate for the gubernatorial race, I am not a GOP Republican Party member. I think most people are. Are you a Republican Party member?
You know, I've been a Republican my whole life, but back in about 1984, I started going, what am I doing? And then I was actually an American independent from pretty much 97 through 2010 because I'm sick of Republicans and I after seeing them fall on their face and just give ground and just be so fake, I couldn't do it anymore. And then as the years came into the new decade, and then as we got about through the 15s, I said, you know what, I'm going to go back there. I'm going to see what it's like. And it seemed like it was coming back. And then Trump got in there, and I was like, oh, I'm glad I came back. I'm so glad I came back.
So it's more so principle over the party, and I think that's how the majority of voters think. You know, we're independent thinkers, and when it comes to us, you know, casting our ballot or casting, you know, our vote for whatever candidate we feel like resonates with us the most, then that's the candidate that we vote for. We get locked into thinking that we're a Republican or a Democrat or a Libertarian even, just because we're a registered voter for that party. But what I've come to find is the people that are most loyal to whatever desires or agenda that the party has itself are usually party members. So most people are rhinos, dinos, you know,
yeah,
linos, whatever the case may be, because you're the you're the lowercase registered affiliate. So the way it goes is if you're a uppercase Republican, uppercase R, D, L, whatever, sure, you're a party member. If you're a lowercase L, D, R, you're just a registered voter.
Well, I think of it a little bit differently than that. I think a capital R Republican is somebody that isn't a rhino, somebody that really believes in the pinnacles of the Republican Party. The lowercase r guys are these David Valadayos and these guys are out there that are just making a mess of things and not standing up for Republican values, for the Constitution.
They just don't have any principles. That's what it is. They don't have any principles to stand on, because if they did, they'd be defending that regardless of what party affiliation. And that's what I'm coming to represent as a candidate for, again, we the people and the party of the people is I'm putting the policy of freedom, liberty, and justice for all above political party affiliation. So with me running as a Republican, excuse me, there are lots of tenets of the Republican Party that I agree with. Of course, less taxes,
Sure.
minimizing government, and respect of personal individual freedom. And I think that also correlates with the party platform of the Libertarian Party. So I'm running as a Republican candidate, but I'm promoting the Libertarian Party.
So you did some time in the Libertarian pool for a while, right?
Yes, I was the 2018 Libertarian candidate for California governor. So
And how was the support from the financial or even support from the Libertarian group?
it was wonderful. I got lots of support from party members, as far as executive members of the party.
Sure.
It's a different story. You know, every party tends to have their hierarchy, but
Sure.
I got lots of support from party members and libertarian-leaning voters, which is why in the 2018 election I got nearly 12,000 votes, being a quote-unquote nobody.
Nobody.
And third-party candidate.
Third-party candidate. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I always thought that me running last year for assembly with being a Republican, that I would fall right in the ranks and, you know, get in there and get my line, get my money from the Cal GOP and just be promoted by them and all that stuff. And I think that's something that maybe you and I have in common, because if you are that independent thinker, if you are that guy that is not going to bow down to the Cal GOP, they will have nothing to do with you.
Exactly. And
So there really is no point in even having a party when you actually are a free thinker.
right.
And
Well, right now,
it's
the
crazy.
Republican Party in California is pretty much non-existent. They're jumping on the bandwagon now with the recall attempt, but when it first started, they pretty much were hands off. There were news articles about the Republican Party not investing money into it, not investing bodies into it. It was pretty much just all independent.
Doug's got some questions for you today. He kind of mentioned some to me, and he's gonna go.
Well, the first question I have is a really important question, and you know, based off your shirt, it says "Black Guns Matter."
Yeah.
What do you say to those who say all guns matter?
Well, see, you're still thinking black as in people versus black as in the color of the gun. So this actually applies to the message of all guns mattering. I believe the majority of guns are black. You have silver, you have, you know, some custom ones.
Todd
that
had
are
some pretty cool
pink and yellow.
tactical.
Oh, you're talking about the little sub 2000s.
Your little Kel-Tecs that you had down there.
Had them
Those
in
are pretty
black,
sweet.
tan, and green.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is you got to look at the message and not take it out of context. So that's what's happened with the message of, I guess, Black Lives Matter and Black Guns Mattering, which was actually a campaign that was put out by a gentleman that wanted to promote proper gun use in the inner cities. And, of course, getting rid of unconstitutional gun laws, since they are inherently racist.
Oh, yeah.
In this country, if we want to get rid of the racist policies that are prejudiced against everyone, people of color, disadvantaged people, get rid of the law. And that's what I was telling, excuse me, Todd, right?
Yeah.
I was telling Todd during our conversation is that I plan on making California a constitutional carry state.
Just
were
like
I to
Utah.
be elected. Exactly.
Utah just passed it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
Utah, you don't have to have a permit anymore. You can carry concealed anywhere in Utah now.
And that's the way
not need a
California
license.
should be.
Yeah.
And it was an open carry state until the Mulford Act was signed into law by Ronald Reagan, a Republican.
Well, a couple things with this. There is a second tier, and I heard you talking about that the other day. And the Ronald Reagan, the Mulford Act. Yes, I understand that, but true open carry didn't go away until about 6 years ago when they finally got rid of it in California. Because we had during the life of this store, we had open carry.
But if you talk about the creation and origin of gun laws,
Yes.
you can't just blame Democrats for that.
No,
Republicans
not at
bear
all.
some responsibility. And in the state of California, that responsibility is heavy. So if we want to undo the wrongdoings and prevent, again, law-abiding citizens from being able to protect themselves.
Sure.
And I think that more so is a human right. It shouldn't be a constitutional right.
It never was. Those are not given to us.
And right now,
they
we have
are
legislators
ours.
acting like they can pick and choose which laws, especially with the federal government. Right now, they're pushing for a national gun ban.
Yeah, and did you notice there's been 2 mass shootings in the last 4 days?
Yeah, conveniently.
In between the time that the House got H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446, while it's in transit to the Senate, we have 2 mass shootings.
And it helps promote their message, and it also scares the public into supporting their...
Call your senator right now.
They're trying to do a AR-15 buyback.
Yeah, there's so much stupid happening right now.
Mine's going to be worth 3 times the amount if you want to buy it back.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, they won't. They won't. So, Kalish, down at the end of the table there, how are things going?
They're going.
And how do you feel about this guy jumping ship from the Libertarian Party?
Well, sad to see him go from the Libertarian Party, but the thing that's the most important to me though is that people are still carrying that the philosophies behind what we stand for as libertarians, which is basically all your freedoms all the time. Doesn't matter what party you're a part of or anything like that. As long as you're out there promoting those kinds of things, promoting the constitutional rights, that's what is the most important to me. He's still out there being a beacon of liberty and promoting that. And, it's great to have activists like him who not only walks the walk, but not only talks the talk, walks the walk, and he puts himself on the line a lot.
Very much so.
So always in trouble, but puts his line, puts himself out there.
But what is the libertarian view on national border security?
So it's a little bit more open borders. You get a lot of people who go no borders at all, and then you have others like me who are more Ellis Island approach, where kind of take it back to the basics and more of a speed the process along, not have these years and years of trying to get your citizenship, those kinds of things. And I was just thinking about it the other day too, where the Democrats really play into immigration, and they throw out all the free stuff, and then they garner all of these new voters, and we realize it's a strategy of theirs. I would say that if the Republican Party were to take on a little bit more of a libertarian approach, if you think about it, we're getting people from very suppressed nations. You get like Venezuela, or we have people from China, ones that are used to the fallout from socialism. These are people that are primed to stand against what these socialist principles of the Democratic Party, and kind of throwing really some things out there. Yeah. And we worry about absolutely terrorists and all that stuff, but then when you think about like I've seen the knee-jerk reaction before about terrorists and that kind of thing coming from the right and being worried about that, but the statistics of dying in a terrorist attack is actually less than COVID.
Sure.
So
you don't even die. You don't die from COVID.
True.
So yeah.
Well, the complications, but yeah. So anyway, but yeah, that's the libertarian approach. Is it's a little bit divided. Some people are very open borders. Borders are a man-made thing, and then others are a little bit more Ellis Island.
Throughout the debate this last week in Corona, there was a couple mumbles around the audience. There's a couple things that people said. One of the guys said there was no voter fraud whatsoever, and I was like, you could hear the whole crowd just go, ugh.
Even if one ballot is thrown in the trash, that's voter fraud.
That's voter fraud, right?
Yes.
But one person shut the show down, stopped it. Even the moderator had to get up and go, hey guys, we got to listen to these guys. Got up and chastised everybody, then turned around and let him finish. And the reason why is when you're going to a conservative area, you know that you need to play to the strengths of that group. And this guy went out there and said that coming into our country should be a natural right. Exactly. Register. You can come here and stay here if you want, and if you feel like becoming a citizen, become a citizen. That is absolutely not a Republican stand.
Believe it or not, Ronald Reagan provided amnesty to over 3 million immigrants in California when he was governor. He did this, and he actually made a statement about how we shouldn't be building doors, and if we're going to be building walls, let those walls have doors of opportunity where those people that are willing and have the heart can walk through them.
I
and that's what
understand
we
that.
should be doing.
But the problem with the Bracero program from the 80s, when Reagan was president, they didn't finish the job. Once again, Republicans go halfway.
Exactly.
I don't mind a Bracero program like he had. I don't mind bringing the people that are here and getting them naturalized so that we can get them on the rolls and figure out who they are and not be living in the shadows. Is that fair enough?
Exactly.
But if we don't stop what's coming across that border every single day and people dying with coyotes and semi-trucks catching on fire with dozens dying and 25 people in an expedition coming across that border, if we don't stop all that and get some regulation on that border, then I do not want amnesty.
Well,
because all that does is bring more people in.
You're thinking it's the situation is causing the problem. Right now, because we do have those strict immigration laws, that's what's creating the situation where you have the caravans, where you have the coyotes, where you have this loss of life that's unnecessary. Decriminalize it, or like I was saying, make it an easier process to where if the person wants to become a citizen, because I'll say it again, if you are in America, becoming a citizen is not a requirement. It's not mandated. So it's a choice. So for the immigrants that are here that want to become a citizen, make that process easier, make it cheaper, and that'll incentivize them to want to become citizens.
I got a scenario for you. So, on a smaller scale, say you have your house and your door's wide open and you're just letting people come in day after day and they're coming in your house, eating your food, and you're paying the electricity and paying for their clothes and taking care of all these people, and they just keep coming. They're like, hey, Wildstar's house is open. He's taking care of us. Let's keep going. At some point, you're going to be like, you know what? I need to close my door, put a fence up, and then allow people to come in as I can take care of them, right?
That's apples and oranges. What you're talking about is private property. My house is my property.
My country is my country.
No,
but
it's
what
my
I'm-
country.
Metaphor-
It's everybody's
but
country.
exactly.
That's American.
And that's the problem.
It's metaphorically, though. It's metaphorically.
Wait.
It's just metaphorically speaking, though.
Metaphorically speaking, my property is my property, and I can do what
Right.
I want with my property.
Don't
He
pay
said-
taxes on it and see what happens.
Exactly. That's another problem, because I shouldn't have to pay taxes on my own property, which is why I plan on cutting those taxes once I'm elected governor. So
Okay.
you won't have to pay more
Exactly.
property on or taxes for your car, your home, or your gun, or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
But you said this is your country. That's not true. This is our country. And we have agreed, and that's why the Statue of Liberty sits there with a plaque.
Bring us
that
your humbled
says-
masses and blah,
Exactly.
blah, blah.
Bring us your poor, bring us your homeless, yet at the same time, we're saying, don't bring us your poor, don't bring us your homeless.
So then what do you say to a guy like Diego Martinez, whose family did it right? And he believes in a secure border and regulated immigration. His family did it right.
What is doing it right?
They got the visas, they came over, and they did the process.
And the process that was created was done out of racism. The first immigration law in our country was the Chinese Exclusion Act. Just look at that name. Chinese Exclusion Act. It was to basically prevent Chinese people from coming to America and from gaining citizenship, to deter them altogether. And that was the first immigration law in this country. Ever since then, every immigration law has been targeted at a specific group of people to be prejudiced towards them, to keeping America looking a certain way, which is European.
In a way, I agree with you. But one thing
Just
I
say
do,
white.
yeah. One
well,
thing
you're not white.
At the end of the
That's
day,
another thing that was created by the people that constructed our country to divide us, is to make us think, well, you're white, he's black, first class citizen, second class citizen. And that's how this all started. I'm not black. That's just the misnomer I have to go by in order for you to properly identify me.
What are you? Just different shade of human being?
I'm a melanated person.
A what?
a melanated person.
But I'm a human being first and foremost. It would be great if in America we all just looked at each other as being human beings, opposed to, oh, you're black, you're white, you're Chinese, you're Hispanic. You see what I'm saying?
I get it.
So when you
How
get
do
all
we
these,
remove that prejudice.
you get all these people though that immigrate to America that bring their cultures with them, and some of these cultures are against, I would say, traditional American values, and you integrate that into our society, you know, and then they segregate themselves. You have blown Muslim communities in Michigan. Let's just say, we're not even allowed to go in there with our own law enforcement. It's basically like sovereign territory for them, right? So you know,
Same thing with native tribes, right?
So, but we keep bringing you keep bringing.
No, native tribes that was a compact made with them, with the federal government.
Exactly. One that they should have with every person in this country, so we can live that way.
So if you want to live
unadulterated.
segregated, is that what you like?
If we want to, there are people out there,
But we're
white
human,
and black,
but we're humans.
that would like to.
We're all humans, so
Again,
we should be living together, right?
why is it that when you go into Little Armenia,
Mm-hmm.
there is no black stores there? There are no Chinese stores there.
It's
There
like
isn't any
like
other
Chinatown or
Exactly.
whatever, Korean town.
What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. That makes America
I think
beautiful.
part of
That
what he's
makes it
talking about
great.
in Minnesota and those things is the fact that they are not abiding by the American judicial system either. Going by their Sharia law and not allowing law enforcement and not allowing federal and state government laws to be enforced.
Same thing happens with Judaism. You have Jewish communities where they have their own tribunal system, and it is outside of the American justice system. And like I said, with native tribes as well. So when it comes to our law system in this country, it's a de facto government, imposing these laws, rules, and regulations that are not constitutional, which is why you have these gun laws that are being created by legislators that do not apply. That's why you have taxation without representation that should not apply. How do we fix that? How do we reverse all of the wrongdoing? We got to get in positions of power, like Kalish, where she's on city council and is able to influence others on changing those policies to make things better. We're still a young country, so we can't say everything's perfect. If we still have laws on the books from 200 years ago that are still discriminating against a group of people and treating them as if they're property. Right now, the laws in this country treat us as if we're property. I just experienced this myself.
Okay, who's us? Who's us? When you say
We
treat
the
us,
people.
Okay, we the people. Okay, I went over back on that race issue again, because there
Melanated.
is a different, melanated.
We the people.
So
Don't put words in my mouth.
do you understand this difference between race and a difference between culture?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Human race, hue, as in colors, which we all are. If you want to look at
Well, I get that.
root words,
Human race,
etymology,
but culture has a lot to do with a lot of the issues going on in our country.
and what is
right now.
American culture?
I'm
But
not
a
talking
melting
about
pot.
culture. I'm not talking about culture.
He was.
I'm talking about individual culture of different groups.
He said all of these cultures changes American culture and American values.
Yes.
What is that? Can you define that? Because to me, it looks a lot different.
So my idea of American culture is what we had before the Democrats started saying that there's racism in America. We were all,
So we're Republicans.
I'm
Don't
just
blame
no, I'm just
Democrats.
no. But when Trump was, basically when the election was coming up, this giant race war started.
Prejudice didn't start when
But
Trump took
but
office.
we were coming together, and you can even agree with this that you see
That is
just
not
on just
true.
on YouTube alone, you see a bunch of black dudes and white dudes and Mexican dudes all making YouTube videos together, and getting out in public and having a good time, and there was really no talk of racism prior to the election. And then all of a sudden it gets closer, and then all of a
What
sudden
world were you living in, man?
There was-
I didn't vote for Obama. And
So
you want
I'm
to know
just-
why?
why?
It's because a lot of black people that I knew didn't like what the hell he was doing.
But I'm saying though, it wasn't as bad as they're making it out to be now.
Yes, it was, bro. I hate to tell you, but I've been on the underground this entire time. And when Bush was in office, when Obama was in office, when Trump was in office, the sentiment was the same. What changed is the energy behind that. Okay, so when Bush was in office, you had the bailouts of the bank. The country was going down because of the recession. So you had a lot of people that were upset in the working class and rising up against that. That's why you had the Occupy protests. See, you guys are picking and choosing your fights here. The Occupy was everybody making that argument. Then it got splintered into this socialist group and these, capitalist groups, and then it started getting separated. You had those agent provocateurs, just like in the BLM movement, just like in Antifa, just like in Proud Boys, do the same kind of infiltration happened during the Occupy protests. Or else we would have swelled together as a mass, we the people, would have swelled together as a mass to revolt against our government. We have yet to do that like England. Right now, nobody likes wearing a mask. Nobody.
I agree with you on
Nobody nobody wants to be forcefully vaccinated. But yet this is being considered in our government, and we still are focusing on these divisive issues, race and immigration and drugs and abortion.
Look over here while we're doing this over there.
Exactly.
Right, and I think
get
that
it.
None of that matters. Stop being distracted.
So
Let's focus
the
on
thing
the
that
work.
gets the thing that gets frustrating though is that it's always racism, whites towards blacks. That's what I always hear. Is that how you feel too?
Nope.
So who's racist then?
The establishment.
So we're not talking about the people. We're talking about the establishment's racist.
Yes, sir.
So which establishment? The Republicans, the Democrats?
They built it together. The American establishment itself is racist. If
So-
you look at the criminal justice system, law system, it is inherently racist. We just talked about gun laws in this country, inherently racist.
But society as a whole. Is society as a whole racist? That's what I'm talking about.
No.
So then
I
systemic
don't-
racism isn't a thing, is what you're saying. On a
Systemic
personal
racism
level.
exists in our institutions. It does not exist in society. When
Okay.
I meet people on the street, when
And
I make
and that's
collisions,
I 100 on that.
all right.
I agree
you
with
see
you.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we can't let media control our
How we interact with one another.
exactly, and they're
Yes.
controlling the narrative right now in the conversations. But if we actually showed them videos, like you said, white guy, black guy, whoever guys sitting around talking about these issues, then that would completely negate everything that they're talking about. But those videos aren't viral. The ones showing us being hateful towards each other and fighting each other, those are the ones
Because
that
it
get
pushes
more
the
attention.
agenda.
Right.
Exactly.
I'll jump in here. I wanted to say too, I think that it's not even so much, it's not a racial thing at this point. It's political gangs. We've got
Right.
political gangs going on. And just like normal gangs, you got them taken to the streets, but everybody's trying to tear each other down. It's just in a different means versus, literally gunning somebody down. Now we're going after social media or, getting the press involved and all that. And I've been attacked a couple times by one side because I'm associating with the other side, even though the other side is doing good things. So, but because I haven't had a chance to have a conversation with the other ones, they don't know me yet, and they just want to jump to conclusions. Now, I have now opened the doors, and I will be having conversations with on the other side. But I really hate how politically divisive we've become over everything. And I think it's also the language too that we use. Like we use snowflake and libtard and Trump-tard and all this crap, and it's just driven this political gang mentality, and it's not getting us anywhere.
Yeah, I agree with you. When I was out there collecting signatures for the recall of Gavin Newsom, because I was one of those volunteer petitions before they started
So
paying
you're
for
a
them.
far right QAnon conspiracy theorist, white male that believes in the Second Amendment. That's what Gavin Newsom said.
Exactly. You see?
That's how he defines you.
And that's why they don't want to talk about me.
Did
at
you know
all.
that about yourself?
Well, thank you for telling me.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But that's another thing is even with him going out creating that type of message around the supporters of the recall, now that's the believed perception. That could be the furthest thing from the true. And I've been saying that over the past few months. Every time that I went out in front of Walmart, every Monday and Saturday from 8 a.m. till noon, I would make a small video, say, hey, I'm Nicholas Wildstar, candidate for California governor. I would talk to a few of the people so they could see who are actually signing that petition. I gathered thousands of petitions, and I can't tell you enough. What she's saying about the gang part is completely true. The way that I found this out was I'd go out there with my Wildstar shirt. It's gray. Nobody would say a thing. I go out there with my American flag shirt or a red shirt. Now I'm catching flack. Oh, you're a Trump supporter, you white supremacist. You're this. Are you kidding me? I even have a video. I have a video on my YouTube channel.
Wildstar.
And I'm arguing with this guy, telling him I didn't vote for Trump. I actually voted for Joe Jorgensen, the only female on the ballot in all 50 states. You know, Libertarian candidate. I did my best to kind of just explain to him, beside what you heard on the news, it's not true. Talk to me. Let's have this conversation here and now. We can understand each other better. And that's exactly what Kalisha's saying, is if we sit down with these groups, these organizations that we are told we're not supposed to like or affiliate ourselves with, we'll end up finding out we got more in common. And now we can open up the dialogue to say, where can we join our efforts, combine our efforts, galvanize, and get rid of our true enemy. That's what we need to be doing right now. And that's what I've been doing as a candidate, going out to these BLM protests, even though I don't agree with BLM, the organization, and Marxism and socialism and all of these other things. I'm talking to the actual protesters, the people involved with it, to find out why they're there. And they say, oh, well, I had, got pulled over by the cops and, they beat me over a traffic ticket or roughed me up or whatever. Okay, don't have to do that. And not all of them were black. I spoke with white people,
Look,
Hispanic people.
There are millions of police contacts every year in California, and I'm glad we got on this topic. I'm glad you said the word police, because if you look down my table here, you're going to see a nice blue line flag.
Which I don't understand in the gun shop.
Yeah.
Because if the politicians say, let's take their guns, like Biden is talking about, those guys with guns are coming to take your guns.
Then there's going to be a war. And they won't, not in Hanford, because not in this county they're not, for sure. Now, I have had cases where DOJ guys come down and we ask them, guys, we have the Constitution, and we're just doing our job. And that is a failure of their oath of office when they do that.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree with you more.
But I know that my guys here in Kings County, we got a good dial on it with our chief of police and with our guys. They won't do that to us in this county. And I'll go out and fight for any other county that thinks that they are above the Constitution.
That's good, because some people out in LA County may need.
So let's talk. Let's talk about this. Part of my goat that was gotten at the debate the other night was your literal, and this is the way I read it, your hatred towards cops.
You're wrong,
because you think cops are corrupt.
Nope.
And I believe that every organization in America, whether it's churches, whether it's doctors and hospitals, whether it is the street sweepers, or there are bad people everywhere. Can you not disagree with me on that?
I completely agree with you on that.
Exactly. Okay. So we cannot focus on the absolute minutia, and we cannot believe everybody you talk to that comes to you with some kind of a cop gripe. Let me tell you just a quick story. One day, I'm working the Fresno Fair. I'm working downtown Fresno. There's an old beat-up truck that's going down Kings Canyon by Clovis Avenue, right? Mm-hmm. It's just like an old Dodge, old like 70s model, just kind of rusty and gray and stuff and green. Had a rear tail light out, and it was smoking out the back. So I pulled it over right out Kings Canyon and Clovis Avenue, right there. I walk up, and it's an elderly black man in the truck. No idea who's driving that truck, because it was nighttime, and I pull him over. Mm-hmm. I do the whole stop. I run the whole plate. I do all the stuff. I go up and talk to him. I said, "Do you have a driver's license?" "He had a driver's license." And I said, "Yeah." "Okay, you got a tail light out. Where are you going tonight?" Because it was fair season, right? And he was going out of town. He goes, "What's that your right to know?" And he just absolutely turned on the attitude with me. "What are you asking me that for?" I said, it's a conversation, I'm saying hi, what's going on tonight, and all of a sudden he absolutely opened up this thing on me. I was like, oh, you really want to go there with me, right? And we worked it out. It was no big deal. And as a deputy sheriff, you're not required to write a bunch of tickets and all that kind of stuff anyway. But he turned on that. And this was, 15, 17 years ago that this happened. And it wasn't like, "Son, where are you going tonight?" It was just like, "Hey, what's going on tonight?"
Is it a lawful requirement for him to answer your question?
He could have said, yeah, I'm just, it's my business.
What's wrong? And that's what he said.
No, he didn't.
He just said it in a way that you didn't agree with.
Yeah.
And for that, you have to be the bigger person because you're the one
It
given
didn't
that
turn into
responsibility.
anything. It didn't turn into anything, but he
But I'm just
automatically
saying,
turned on that thing.
You said
if
he
I were
got,
to ask
he got
15
an
other
attitude
people
with you. If I was given a job as police officer, I know that I'm held to a higher standard than everybody else. I have to correct my actions. I have to think twice before speaking. I have to make sure that my emotions are in check. Now, if you're taking that job and it's difficult for you to do that, you shouldn't have that job. And it's not only in police. That's in the health industry. That's in politics. That's in everything.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I could have pulled over 10 cars that night. I could have pulled over all kinds of ages and stuff, and I asked the same questions of everybody. Hey, what's going on tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But that guy thought I was meddling in his life, and it just seems like when I would deal with people of the blacks out there, so the automatic attitude immediately shines off when I'm just being just casual.
Well, you got to know first and foremost, police officers in this country originated from slave patrols. So if you don't know your history about where police officers came from, that's where they came from. So the relationship between police officers and black people, people of color, is always going to have that strife between them until it's cured. How do you cure that?
You change the culture.
Exactly. And that's what I was saying to you. Change the police culture.
No!
Yes.
No, you take that chip off the culture of the blacks.
That's where we
They
have a problem.
automatically think that they're victims, and they cannot be that. They need to stand up.
That is not
and
true.
Be what
I don't
they want.
automatically think that I'm a victim.
I'm not
and the
saying
reason,
you. I'm saying
the
the
reason why
culture.
I have my problem with police is because ever since I was a teenager, I've always been assaulted by police. At 16, I was beat by a police officer for disorderly conduct. And then after he whooped my ass, you know what he said? After he seen my ID, you're only 16? Yeah, because I'm 6 foot tall, 200-pound black man. He saw me instantly as being a threat. Let me continue, please. I'll let you speak.
Okay.
May I? Over the past 10 years or so, I've been harassed by police officers nonstop. I used to live in Orange County for 6 years. I have videos on my YouTube channel. I've been pulled over for getting gas. I've been pulled over riding my bike. I've been pulled over walking while black, arrested for resisting arrest because I told him I'm walking to work.
Mm-hmm.
And you have no lawful reason to stop me. Mm-hmm. Just like you said. Next thing you know, within 10 seconds, I'm getting arrested. So I sued them and I won.
Yeah, you should have.
Yes. But that also left a bad taste in lawmakers' mouths in Orange County to where I'm now, or was, on trial for contempt of court for exercising my right to record in court. So when you go to court, it's a public place. You have the right to record since it's a First Amendment right.
Yeah.
And these are public officials. I was recording in court. The judge told me to stop. When the judge or police officer or any law enforcement officer tells you to do something, that's called a lawful order. If you don't obey, now you've broken the law.
Yeah.
I told him, no, I'm not going to stop recording because I have the constitutional right, First, Sixth, Ninth Amendment, whatever. And I was kicked out of the courtroom. Next thing you know, I'm getting pulled over. Unbeknownst to me, I got warrants out for contempt of court. And I just was found guilty in Orange County by a jury and a judge who said on the bench, this has nothing to do with constitutional rights. This has everything to do with you obeying our authority. That's what our law system is right now.
And I agree with
Obedience
you on
of
that.
authority. It has nothing to do with law and order. It has nothing to do with people being held to the same standard as everyone else. You got people in the law system acting like they're above the law.
Sure.
So this is from my own personal experience. I don't care about everything else that you see as black culture. I'm talking about me and what I've experienced. And because of that, and with me seeking to be a public official, I know once I get elected, something needs to change with that. And that's why I said ending qualified immunity, requiring liability insurance, and making sure that there is no police bill of rights, no extra layer of protection that's going to put them above everyone else. They need to be held responsible to the same standards as we all do.
So you don't want any cops to be hired or even to become cops in the state of California at all?
Absolutely, an incentive will be there. This is the thing. If you take the job, if you hire a roofer to fix your roof and they do a shitty job and the roof collapses, pardon my French.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't know the etiquette
fine.
of the show, but the roof collapse, somebody gets hurt, okay? You go to sue the company and they say, well, you know, that person has qualified immunity, so you can't sue them.
You just said apples and oranges just a minute ago. You just said apples and oranges to that man right there.
Yeah.
I will tell you that when a guy like me for 21 years ran into the fight, went into the houses, protected the children, protected the men, protected the wives, when I was the one that had to stand on that front line, do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
That's not a roofer's job. That is not some street cleaner's job. That is not some
So you're talking
cell
about the
phone
threat
store.
of the occupation? Because
No.
more people die as loggers than police officers
I'm
each
not
year.
saying that. What I'm saying is our jobs were to go out and be that first line of defense, something that nobody else will do. And for that, we cannot be we cannot be kept to where with anybody that we contact can sue us. We can't.
What?
If we
So
are
if
working,
you make a mistake, you don't think you should be held liable for that?
no. I've been sued
That's
before
what
as a cop.
qualified immunity.
I've
yeah,
been
but
sued before
that
as a
money
cop.
came out of taxpayer pockets, not yours.
I've been sued before as a cop. Okay.
Taxpayers' pockets, right?
I
Did you
had-
pay that out of your own pocket?
When you are okay, so follow me then. If I'm working for Lowe's over here and I'm driving a forklift, right? And I come around a corner and there's a little kid that you couldn't see around the corner and you end up hitting that little kid and knocking him down and breaking his leg. Do you not sue Lowe's?
Yes. But
Okay. And
the
the-
money should come out of Lowe's pocket, not taxpayers' pockets. That's what's happening with
It
police
is
officers
Lowe's
right now.
The police agencies are the people. As long as you're following your training, as long as you're following your company policy and you're following state law, you are protected from frivolous and you're protected. I've had friends of mine that lost their jobs and they got sued and they lost everything because they were driving too fast out in the county and hit somebody. Okay?
Okay.
I had another one that was driving too fast and hit a tractor going down the road because he wasn't paying attention. Lost his job, got sued, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, if you're
it does not
negligent.
protect you from anything. Negligence is different.
And
than-
that's what the problem right now with qualified immunity in the Police Bill of Rights. It allows police officers to act negligently without there being any recourse. That needs to change. And that's all I'm saying is if you have the job, you have a responsibility, and there needs to be consequences for your actions. What I was saying about the roofer is if you go to sue the company, now the roofer has to pay for those injuries out of his pocket, versus with police right now, if you sue like I did, that money comes out of taxpayers' pockets. It didn't come out of those police officers' pockets. They weren't disciplined in any way. They continue to receive a pension for the rest of their life from me as a taxpayer.
You talking about for the Anaheim incident or the Orange County incident?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and that's what I'm saying.
Did they get any? Did they get anything in their files at their office for that?
No.
No.
I found a police report, and I was told by the police chief basically what you said. The police officer was acting according to their training. So if
So that
it's
means
automatically excused and just saying, well, the officer was doing his job. Just like right now, the cop that killed George Floyd, Derek Chauvin, is on trial. He has qualified immunity. He will not be found guilty. Mark my words right now, because the prosecutor and the law system will protect him to say that he did his job.
What do you think about the pathology reports on the Floyd that said that he couldn't
I don't
breathe,
care about
he couldn't
any of
breathe
that.
before he got out of that
I don't care
car,
about any of that.
and he was going to die regardless because of how much dope he had on his system.
I don't care about that. Any of that. I saw a
it's
man
part of the
kneeling on
case.
another man's neck. If it doesn't matter about the person's past, their medical history, none of that matters. When a police officer has a responsibility to protect and serve.
Yes.
He was not protecting George Floyd. He was not serving the community by kneeling down on his head
I don't
for
disagree
9
with
minutes.
you at all. I do not disagree with you at all.
So if you don't disagree with that, that's all the facts of the matter of the
No, there's
case.
so
All
many
the rest
facts.
of that is irrelevant.
No, it's all facts.
If you
Everything matters.
if you were to kneel down on Kalicia's head right now for 9 fucking minutes, even though she's healthy and she looks, God forbid, of course, I'm pretty sure you would harm her and do a lot of damage.
Okay.
Now, should you be able to do that? No.
No.
Whether the person is healthy, whether they're unhealthy, your job as a police
I have
officer.
never agreed with that cop over there in that whole Floyd case. Never have I ever said.
But you just
"Boy, that
said if
guy's-"
the police officer is acting in accordance to their training and the rules and regulations of the
I
of the law
guarantee you, they're
system,
not trained to
they
kneel on
shouldn't-
somebody's neck for 9 minutes. I guarantee you. But that's part of the thing when it comes to cops. And when it comes to qualified immunity, there has to be some protections because nobody talk about what you were talking about yesterday when it comes to are we supposed to be held liable in war when we're in somebody else's country by our government and we end up burning down a house? Are
They
gonna
have
sue
that
the-
right now. It's international war crimes.
Not if you're acting under your supervision of your people and you're doing your orders and you're doing it according to the Geneva Convention.
So
no.
all of the soldiers that were raping Vietnamese women when they were over in Vietnam.
Not acceptable at all. It's that I'm not talking
What about
that.
all of
That
the
is-
soldiers that are over in Afghanistan right now, harming local people, or in Syria?
That's a U.S. government problem because they have them there. It's not the person's
But you just
problem.
said about providing immunity for war engagement. We don't have that, which is why you have war crimes, which is why you have...
Look, I tell you, I've seen a lot of cops do a lot of stupid things, and I've seen them all held accountable and all lose their pensions and all get fired out. I've seen it many, many times. I was 21 years. I've seen lots of cops fall. It is not like every cop has a guaranteed job like, I'm sorry,
I didn't
the
say
CTA
every cop.
has,
Make the environment better for police
So
officers.
what do you
Good
do
cops
to
right
fix
now,
it? What do you do to fix it though? So say we adjust qualified immunity, do we get rid of it completely or do we adjust it to say at this point where you messed up, beyond this is where you're liable? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you just saying like you're always responsible for what you did all the time, no matter what?
Absolutely.
So there's not going to be any revamping of what the current law is now. So your goal would be to just get rid of it completely and say when you're out on the street, if you mess up and make a wrong move, you're not going to be supported by the police department. You're going to have to get your own lawyer and take care of the situation yourself.
Absolutely. Justin Amash, a Republican, who is now a Libertarian, since he saw that divide that you saw with them not standing on principle, when he was in Congress, he actually pushed for a bill to end qualified immunity nationwide. Black Lives Matter didn't back it. The Democrats didn't back it. Nobody that opposed it backed it. You would think that the Republican Party would be behind him in making this change that's going to correct our law system to where we have more trust in them. That's the problem right now. We don't have much trust.
So for every action, there's an equal or opposite reaction, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you do that, you get rid of qualified immunity. Then on the other side of the story, you have people that are out there that are just still going to run amok. And they're going to be like, well, you know what? This cop isn't going to do crap to me because he's going to have to worry about getting sued by me if he messes up. So do you think people will take advantage?
What are you talking about? If
I'm
you're
just, no,
breaking
I'm saying,
the law.
no, I'm saying, do you think people will take advantage?
They'll taunt.
Of the, yeah. Do you think they'll take advantage of the fact that a police officer may restrain, or hold back from doing something to arrest this person, and because they think that they can get away with it? Do you think that somebody would take advantage of that fact?
You may have that situation. There was a recent arrest in San Diego, I believe, where a police officer pulled over a car. It was a traffic stop, and he pulled out his weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked the driver to get out of the car. Driver got out. He asked the passenger to get out. Passenger ended up being like a 12-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
And the upset and the uproar in the community that saw it at that time was, hey, he's pointing a gun at a kid.
Mm-hmm.
That should be unnecessary. Well, video comes out, shows that when the kid came out, he pointed his gun up.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's not pointing his gun at the kid like people said. What changed that? The video proof, video evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we don't have that. You have police officers that can turn off their body cam. They can mute it, as they did in the killing of Stephon Clark up in Sacramento. There's several situations.
I got friends that are really close. I'm from Sacramento, so I'm close to his family too. So I know that whole situation.
All right.
And I agree that situation could have been handled a completely different way.
Yet those two police officers are still on the force and still receiving a salary paid for by taxpayers, including his family.
I agree with you. There definitely needs to be a good look at who we're qualifying as a police officer,
And that's all I'm saying.
how we're training them. But you cannot take away a police officer's ability to be able to, do their job.
I'm not.
Because,
if anything, I'm improving it. I'm now saying you have to be more responsible in doing your duty. You cannot abuse your powers. And that's what's happening right now. With me, it was an abuse of power in multiple situations, including a judge in California. Judges have judicial immunity. Should judges be able to, make a mistake and not be held liable for it? Come on.
No, I get it. No, I am. I'm acknowledging you right now. Just know that yes, government protects its own, and yes, government has a tendency to think they're bigger and better than everybody else, and I hate that. I do. But you know that you and I are going to disagree about what it takes to be a cop, because I've been there for 21 years, and you're looking in from the outside.
Of course.
So just know that. And I don't think anybody should ever make a law that hasn't spent at least a year in a cop car.
But on the flip side, though, you haven't been a black guy your whole life either.
I get it.
Exactly.
So you don't know what he's experienced, and he doesn't know what you've experienced.
Sure.
So
and if anything, I would say
that needs to be. This conversation we're having needs to be had, and I agree. You coming here today and you being here and hosting this is how it starts.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to have these conversations.
But I can't stand politicians that think they know how to do a cop's job. I can't stand it. You've seen the videos of like these reporters that have been anti-cop reporters, and then they go out and they spend a day doing training with cops, and then they'll put them in a lethal confrontation with like sim guns and those kinds of things, or the little paint gun things, the fake guns. By the end of the day, they're like going, "Holy crap, this job's hard."
I'm sure
it's hard as hell.
I've attempted to go on ride-alongs and was never called, because as a candidate, you have that opportunity. Actually, anybody of the public, you can ride along with a police officer. They never responded to my call. And the reason why I have this perception, again, is based on my own personal experience.
I get it.
And I know there are bad cops, but I also know there are good cops. I've had times where I've encountered great police officers, or ones that were being assaultive, and then other police officers would step in to stop that.
Hey, when I was a
That's
kid,
all I'm saying. There needs to be, and you're basically making a perception that because I dislike bad cops, I dislike all cops. That is not true. That's an incorrect statement. And
by taking away qualified immunity, you hate all cops.
That is not true.
That is simply the truth. You cannot take it
So
away.
I guess Justin Amash does. I guess the entire Libertarian Party does, since that's part of the platform as well.
Yeah.
That we hate cops, even though, again, we talk about privatization of protective services, which would actually be better.
That horse has been beat. What you got?
Well, I was going to say too that the qualified immunity and the issues going on within, with cops and people of color and everything. That's just one. Like, that's the tip of the iceberg, though. When we start going back to the very beginning and how our laws are designed to keep people of color down, and the welfare system was designed to buy the black vote for the next 200 years, as quoted by Lyndon B. Johnson when they put that in place.
Yeah.
We have things like that. And then, you had a group recently about school choice. Things like being stuck going to the school in your impoverished neighborhood, and you're stuck going to that school. It sets children up awful way.
3 days ago, I had a guy sitting right here, and he talked about the poor schools and the minority schools and the schools of color that are that are in those neighborhoods. And he says, "What would you feel like if you were told that in your neighborhood you could only shop at the little grocery store in your neighborhood and you could not go to the Costco or the one outside of your block?"
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the school system.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yep.
School choice is huge on my list. How do you feel about school choice?
I plan on getting government out of it altogether,
Yeah.
leaving it up to parents and educators.
So I had the School Choice Foundation here right in that chair 2 days ago, and we talked specifically about the money that's being spent on students to give that money in a school savings account to the parent so they can use those funds any way they see fit through a certified school or learning center or technical trade school with their kids. And I think it's a fantastic program. If you haven't met those guys, you're going to meet those guys, because it is the most comprehensive way of letting parents have control of where their kids go, and it'll make the biggest industry in California, elementary and high schools.
How do you think that would affect basically racism in our country? Do you think that it would help it or make it worse?
I think that would help it.
You don't think that people would send their kid like, oh, this school has mostly Hispanic or black or white, I want to send my kid over there because they'll fit in better. Do you think that more people would try to integrate with different races and stuff, or do you think that it would still stay segregated?
I think there will be a little bit of A, a little bit of B.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have those counties that would like to make sure that their school reflect a certain population, like Laguna Beach, some places in Orange County I'm certain of,
because you're not going to see kids from Compton going to,
wait a minute,
like you said, going to Laguna Beach or whatever. You know what I mean? So
I see it as the opposite of that. I see
Anaheim.
white people not giving a crap. Just whatever's the best school is the best school.
I
see culture making these islands of culture and then separating each other. Like, for example, the Latino proms, the black proms, the graduations for whites, blacks, and Latinos now. Why are we separating people? That is driving me mad. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. But we can't force people to integrate. And that's the problem. That's what anti-segregation laws have done to this country, is they've created more separation. During the debate, they brought up the affirmative action.
Yes.
I didn't vote for that.
No.
And it needs to be, remembered that the people that created the law, affirmative action, didn't look like me.
Mm-hmm.
They thought they were helping me, didn't help me. It made things worse.
Mm-hmm.
So
I get it.
When you talk about school choice and police reform and all of these other things, has nothing to do with black, white, or any of that. It has everything to do with us having more choices as Americans and making sure that those representatives in government are upholding their constitutional oath. That's all I'm about, is making sure that I'm sticking to the rule book.
So
sticking to the school choice, though, if you go to a public school, you're automatically integrated with somebody from every demographic, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if you start giving people a choice, they are going to start segregating, and racism is going to get worse.
No, we are already doing that, though, not by and not by choice. Like I was saying, we've got poor communities, and usually it's people of color. Now they're stuck going to the poor schools, and they're at a disadvantage for a good education. If you open it up, now it's merit based. Maybe those awful school, well, some of them have really good programs. Like I know of one person locally where they sent their kid to another school, even though the school's not that great, but they have a great sports program and their kid is phenomenal at sports, so they go there. And so now it's being able to tailor your kid's education around what their strengths are. This school has a great science program, my kid's a little science nut, send them over here. It's those kinds of things. But the way that we have right now, it's
actually kind of that way already.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying.
It's true.
How would you be able to fix that? You won't. You can't force people to say you must allow a certain group of people to come to your school just so they could have an equal opportunity. Better yet, how about you just give more funding to those disadvantaged communities and let them keep their money there? That's actually a big problem, is in like Los Angeles County or even Fresno, where I am. The taxes that are collected go elsewhere instead of being kept in town. Sure. That's what needs to happen first and foremost, is if I'm going to my local grocery store or my local whatever the case may be, if I'm spending money locally, that money needs to stay locally. Right now, it's being redistributed by our government officials. We shouldn't allow that to be happening, and I won't allow that to happen once I'm governor.
A classic example of that is the gas taxes right now. Right now, in gas taxes, we're paying 75 cents per gallon or whatever it is now. You know, it goes up bigger every year. But in Kings County, and one of your former predecessors at the city council actually sat down with me and talked to me about this. In Kings County, we pay as much gas tax per gallon as anybody else in the state. Guess how much money we've gotten back from gas tax money for our roads? You can guess the number.
I was going to say 0.
Exactly. You know why?
That's usually how it is.
You know why?
What's that?
Because in the last line of that bill that they wrote for the gas taxes, you have to have 50% matching funds before they'll give a dime.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So all that money is either going to the big cities that have the money or over to high-speed rail.
Right.
High-speed rail, yes or no?
No.
Okay, good.
What
good.
should we use it for?
High-speed
What should we
rail.
do instead of the high-speed rail?
Give it away to private companies. I would love to see, Tesla.
Elon Musk.
Exactly.
So,
Take it over.
so there is one thing that plagues this valley, and it's water. How do you fix our farmers getting water?
I was just talking to my buddy here about that. I actually met a gentleman that created a device called the atmospheric water generator. It's basically a machine that creates water out of thin air.
You are a scientist, aren't you? Because you talked about printing 3D houses for the homeless also.
Exactly. Science has a great application to our day-to-day life. We can solve a lot more of our social issues with science opposed to legislative changes.
Question for you, though. We can make, yes, science could probably make more rain. Got it. But how do we maintain all that water once we make it?
What my friend here was telling me would be to separate it, make it hydrogen, and that way it's lighter, I guess, and easier to transport. And then once it gets to where it gets, you can add the other components, oxygen, to make it water. But if we line up the coast with these atmospheric water generators, now it's creating tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of gallons each year. And then we're able to transport that water in to where it's needed in the Central Valley, other droughted areas.
So we're not building new reservoirs. We're basically just shipping water in water trucks or something, or?
Well, right now we're sending a lot of our water to,
LA and
LA,
the ocean.
exactly. and it's going there by way of truck and train, etc. So we just flip it. Use those same modes of transportation, only now we have an independent water source to receive that from. Right now we have Nestle,
Sure.
taking tens of thousands, 100,000s of gallons of water, bottling it up, selling it right back to us. How is that fair? It's our property. It's our resource. We, the people of California, should be benefiting from that, not a corporation with special interests in government.
Yeah, that's the thing.
How is
they bought the votes so that they can do that.
Exactly.
How is it
they have
illegal?
the right now to be able to do that.
Yeah. How is it illegal to collect rainwater?
It shouldn't be.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
I'm
really
so glad
is.
that Californians voted that one down.
And that's
I know,
what I'm saying.
but Oregon, it's
so
illegal.
Stupid.
All
Well,
of these stupid
Oregon
laws
can't
on
also,
the book.
they also can't pump their own gas. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Consider the whole source, huh?
They also have Portland.
Right. But I think that's another way to make police officers' jobs easier, to go back to that, is by removing some of these stupid laws,
Yeah.
enforcing
Yeah,
water
you know
usage.
what? Before
They're
I
shutting
forget,
down
you're right.
restaurants.
Let's remove some of the stupid laws that we have. That way cops don't have to get in dumb conversations with people out jaywalking. Or,
Exactly.
Hey, if you want to jaywalk and get hit by a car, that's your
on
body,
you.
your choice, right?
Right.
What
It's
do
that
we-
way in New York. There aren't any jaywalking laws in New York.
All right, so every politician we've had on the show so far, we've asked a 3-question quiz. It's a 3-question quiz, and I can't wait for the answers on this one. The game is called Terrorist or Not. That's what the game's called.
Wow. I'm a terrorist already.
Well, according to Newsom, I'm a terrorist because I'm a
Right, we're
lifetime
all.
NRA member.
Hey,
Okay.
you were working the Newsom booth. You're a terrorist.
Exactly.
So here's the deal. We have 3 questions for you: terrorist or not terrorist? Antifa.
Not terrorists.
100%. Okay. We can differ on that one.
All right.
Groups that go around the country organize burning cities, burning cars, slapping old men, knocking them down in the street, kicking truck drivers in the head, doing those kinds of things under the name of a benevolent company like BLM. Terrorist or not terrorist?
Those are terrorizers.
Okay, so close enough. But I'm not saying the entire thing is that. But there is people in that organization, a lot of people, that are making the organization look like a terrorist organization.
Like I say, agent provocateurs. I've been out there peacefully. He's been out there peacefully. I think she's even been out there peacefully in BLM protests, and it's not that way. It's,
Okay.
certain individuals shouldn't be, or certain organizations shouldn't be blamed blanketly for the few actions of a few individuals.
They need to flatly deny them and denounce them by name if they're going to do that.
They should. They don't.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm glad
that's
you
been
said.
I like the way he said that. They
Right.
should. They don't. I do. I'm taking that. I'm taking
So
that.
you-
Well,
so-
that's the hard part too, because I actually haven't been out to the BLM protests, and originally I wanted to go out there, but then all the crazy shit started happening, and I'm like, I don't know what to think right now. But you know, you clarified it very well, though. You know, I would have happily been on any of the marches that you were on, which
Yeah.
did not go that way. But-
So,
Right.
so you said individual or an organization should not be judged based on the actions of certain individuals within the organization, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's your stance on the 3%ers and the Proud Boys? Terrorist or not terrorist?
Not terrorists.
All right, cool.
The ones that I've met have been pretty cool.
Right
A lot of them are veterans.
Yeah.
We're going to have some of those guys. Looks like we're trying to get some time in this studio with a couple of the leaders of the state.
Oh, great.
We're
I think
looking
it's
forward to it.
awful that all of these organizations are being painted in such a negative light by the establishment. The reason being is because they don't want them all to band together. Because if they did, that would be the true.
That is
Political
exactly.
games.
This is exactly what I've been thinking. And so listen to this. Antifa, they don't like the government, right?
right.
Donald Trump, he didn't like the government. You have a lot of people that follow Trump that don't like the government either, and they want to see change. Why can't those two organizations with the same idea come together, like you said, and work together to change the way that our government operates? I know Antifa wants no government, no laws, no nothing, but that's never going to happen because there's always going to be anarchy if you don't have leadership.
Yes and no. You got to.
Somebody's going to pop up. You cut the head off of a snake, and then another one's going to pop right up.
Well, we aren't peacefully living in this society because government is, threatening us with, abuse if we don't behave. Even though a lot of people have that perception, but just human nature, we are, again, naturally peaceful.
But we need
civil
a
individuals.
government to manage our armed forces because of other countries. We have to have some form of government. Otherwise, we
I think
will
armed
be
populace
attacked.
would be better. And that's why I plan on making California a constitutional carry state. That way, we can secure our own borders and not have to rely on the federal.
We still need
government to
we
do
still
it
need a
for us.
navy. We still need an army,
We
Air
still
Force,
must maintain
Marines.
the
We have to
the
Those are all
federal government.
And
Yeah, but
the
that's what I'm
National
saying.
Guard, I'd be commander in chief. I would make sure our borders are secure.
But
Good.
as far as like getting rid of government altogether, like the Antifa idea,
No,
Like that is-
again. I want to get government right now is this big. Let's get it this big and see how it works.
Yeah.
And once we get it down that small and we see the advantages of it or the disadvantages, we can know how much more fine tuning we can do from there. But right now, we all can agree the government is oversized.
yep.
It's overbearing. It's overreaching, and we need to do something about it. Like you said, BLM, Antifa, Proud Boys, 3%ers, in fact, whoever the hell. We, the people of California, want to see a smaller government. And that's what I'll be doing as governor is I'll be making attempt to make all of those groups happy by doing exactly that.
I got one more question.
One more question, and then we're going to wrap this thing
Okay.
up.
So I was talking to somebody today, kind of a libertarian, independent thinker, and his idea was we legalize every drug. give everybody the opportunity to make individual choices, whether it's meth, cocaine, heroin,
Ecstasy, all that stuff.
marijuana,
Legalize
all
or
that.
decriminalize?
Decriminalize, not legalized.
difference.
Still have regulations, obviously, but decriminalize all those drugs because hey, if somebody wants to go get blasted and walk out in the street in the freeway and do a backflip and get hit by a car, that's basically what his idea was. Like that was their choice, and I had my arguments to it. But what's your stance on illicit drugs?
Complete decriminalization.
I figured I knew you were going to say that.
I mean, you can look at the country of Portugal as a perfect example. Since 2001, they've decriminalized everything. And now it's created an industry to where now you can go and buy those drugs legally. So the best way to end the war on drugs is to decriminalize it.
The war that we won so handily.
Right.
And they have the low. I want to say they have like either the lowest or one of the lowest heroin uses in their country.
Sure.
So because it's legal, people just don't want to do it. Like
Right.
I don't
Well,
feel like
what they did is they went more towards a treatment program. So you would still, because it wasn't fully legalized, it's decriminalized. Like you can still get cited if you're doing things inappropriately or whatever. And if you got so many citations, and they would require you to go to rehabilitation. But it wasn't this whole let's ruin your entire life because you had a pound of pot on you or something.
Sure.
Now you're forced
Or
with the
a
rest of
heroin
your
addiction.
life. Yeah.
Even though that as serious as that may seem, it would be better to have that person be treated and get some rehabilitation for their addiction use opposed to throwing them in jail. And that's what's happening right now is we're believing that the best way to clean up the streets and get rid of drug users and the drug dealers is by throwing them all in jail. But our marijuana market has proven that by decriminalizing, and now Oregon will be a good example also, since they decriminalize everything, we can look at them.
they got farms all along the freeway up there.
Yeah, we were on our motorcycle tour several years back going up to Washington State on our motorcycles. We crossed into the Oregon border, and it was like, whoa, hey, we're in a different state right now.
Now, how much more free did you feel?
In Oregon anymore? Not at all. Especially in fact when you get accosted when you try and put gas in your car.
Todd's like, how did my pants come off?
Decriminalize pumping your own gas.
I used to work out there on the I-5 corridor, okay, as a deputy sheriff, way out there, knees and I-5 over just way up there, okay? And I would go to Pinoch Road and I-5 where they have a Chevron and a couple other stations, and I would see people standing there looking at a pump. Just standing there, and they'd have their wallet out, and they'd stand there, and I'd get out of my car, I'd walk up, and I'd go, "You're from Oregon, aren't you?" And they go, "Yeah." I said, "Let me show you how to do it, okay? Because we can do it here."
Right.
And I'd actually help them pump their gas and stuff like that, and it was just funny because they try and make these jobs over there, prop up jobs by making people work at a gas station and bring employment up by making forced jobs in the state, and that's just artificial bolstering of jobs rates, and it's just stupid. So what people do is if you have a gas can, you don't have to have somebody. It's only if it goes into a car that you have to have that. And if it's diesel now, you don't have to do it. It's just, these rules are just so arcane. It's terrible. Right now up there, 655 in Sacramento. Have you heard that one yet?
No.
This is 655. If you want to be a cop and they're doing your background and they see anywhere in your history where you've had a picture of yourself with a deemed hate group is what it's called. Deemed hate group, that you will never be able to be a cop again.
Oh, that's just absurd.
Yeah.
Who's determining what
Exactly.
And this is in response to what's happening in Fresno right now to one of our friends here, because he was in a picture several years ago with some Proud Boys. Now his job's on the line over there. So it's whatever
and I
Sacramento.
was getting blowback from it too,
Yeah,
because
I know.
he came out here. We did the park
park
cleanup over at
cleanup.
Centennial, and somebody pulled a picture, which I'm in there because I helped.
Clean a
Give the
park.
suggestion and clean the park, and they take this one picture, and not that Sons of 76 is a terrorist organization anyway, but the caption of the screenshot just says, "We're here at the park getting together with Sons of 76 in Hanford with Councilwoman Cleisha Morrow," and then it just cuts off. It doesn't explain the rest of it, but because I'm in the picture with them, that created an uproar. The mayor got a phone call. He wanted to let me know what was going on. Not that he was upset or anything. He knew exactly what we were doing. We were doing a park cleanup again, though. Sons of 76 is not a terrorist organization anyway. So even if I was just meeting with, but anyway, but yeah, like it would.
So at the end of the day,
Yeah.
the problem with the law is, okay, right? The problem with the law is it is whatever the government deems hate group is what will disqualify you from being a cop. It could be a living disqualification because this year it's something different than last year.
Right.
This is so dangerous to
Rid of the
legislate.
Democrats in
Oh my
California.
God!
Yeah, 'cause then,
Oh my
then
God!
what's next? You can't be a teacher. You can't be, whatever,
I guess I probably can't be a politician because I got pictures with BLM, 3%ers, and Antifa, everybody.
and those Newsom recall people.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys are bad guys. No.
I tell you what, guys, it's been a great talk. Don't forget we have a great event coming up for the Volunteer Appreciation Event back in May. We hope that you can come by and get some tickets here at the Gun Center. We're getting tickets printed this week. Hey, Nicholas Wildstar, Republican for governor. Thank you, Kalish.
Thank you for having me.
Brother, get over here. Yeah.
Let me get some.
Anything left for you?
Keep it real. Keep it fresh.
You guys all have a fantastic day, and thank you for watching Rebel Radio Now. Smash that subscribe button.